Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. I'm Kevin Daisey, and I'll be your host. Today, I'm joined with a guest out of Missouri, Chris Finney. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. I'm really happy to be here with you and looking forward to this.
Yeah, so happy to have you on and learn more about your firm and have the audience learn about what you've done, accomplished, and what you recommend. And so we're going to get into some of those questions here in just a few minutes. Obviously, first, I love just to find out more about you and get the audience to learn about who you are, where you're located, what you focus on, and I think most importantly is, what's your story? Why are you at where you're at now, and what was that journey like for you?
Sure. So I'm located in St. Louis, practice primarily on the eastern half of Missouri. There's various counties that I practice in. We recently hired a third lawyer, so there's 3 of us, 4 support staff, and we're mostly a trial-based plaintiffs practice. For myself, I'm born and raised here. My wife is from here. I've got 5 children here, and pretty committed to the area and to the trial practice. As I think if most of the plaintiff lawyers that you probably talk to found their way into the practice and are really kind of grown to be committed to it. My commitment to it has grown over the last 10, 12 years, maybe 15 years, coming up on 15 years, maybe, where I was a prosecutor for a couple years in the city of St. Louis, which if anybody looks that up is having some troubles with their prosecutor. And then I left that job because I was offered a job, what I thought was like a dream job, to do not the work, but the pay as an insurance defense person, lawyer. They doubled my pay and stuff like that for what I was doing. And when you have student loans, you got to make those decisions. You want to have kids, stuff like that. Really excited. I only lasted there technically it was like 6 months. It was really more like 2 months. But I left that, and my dad had been in the injury practice for a long time as a solo, working on a couple cases at a time. And I asked if I could go to his office. And he said, well, you can go in the basement and you can be there for a little bit. And so I went there. Things went pretty well from a couple of referrals of people I had met along the way. And then after that, I went out on my own. And here we are,
There you are.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. And so, yeah, you're true trial attorneys. That's what
Yes.
you focus on.
Yeah. So so I'll be 40 towards the end of this year, and I have 30 jury trials right now. We shoot for, I was just talking to one of our associates about this. I'd like us to have about 5 to 7 total per year for the firm. I think that's a good number now that we have a couple more people to handle the heavy lifting. Before, I tried with 1 year, I tried 7, I think, and I got really sick at the end of the year with the flu. And it was just, my wife was like, you can't do this type of stuff. Not to mention I lost those last 2 at the end of the year. And we were just beat. So kind of had to reevaluate a little more balance, but with the focus on the trial work, because I think that's the best way to have that kind of reputation to get the best result for the clients.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of firms just want to settle and don't do the trial work. Most of them don't have the ability to do the trial work, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have that infrastructure in place.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we wanted to focus on was we try to focus on being agile enough, like that we can jump in with other people if they call, say, hey, I've got a trial in 2 months, or can you co-counsel this with us? And so that we're ready to jump into that, where we're not bogged down with a big overhead that we got to churn a bunch of files. I like that agility that we can kind of be ready when the call comes in.
Excellent. So kind of like let's focus on your firm itself and kind of where you're going. But to get these, are they all referrals? Is you got some marketing that's been effective for you?
Sure.
What's really been your success there to generate these new cases?
When I started out in my dad's basement, I was trying to figure out, okay, I got to get some business in here. Cause it's kind of an eat what you kill situation when it comes to injury practice. So I was like, I need to figure a way out. And I tried a variety of different tactics, approaches. One of them was I had been approached by a guy who said, hey, this urban radio is a really good, you guys have a population of African-Americans over a certain number. We believe that's a good percentage for marketing on this station because it's the only station in town. And I did that and tried that for a little while. And it just wasn't that great. The leads were not the best. But I did get one lead out of that, which was a Somalian immigrant who was a great guy. That one case turned into many others throughout that community. So it was kind of at that point I realized maybe my game isn't that mass marketing. It's more a little more directed word of mouth referral marketing. And that's a lot of that's reputation based. So then started to build up more of the Ben Glass approach with the newsletters. And I know that's a little bit more old school and maybe not as cost effective as most, because that's a print. We send it out in print every month. And I write the column. Actually, the lead column was due. I think it was due yesterday, but I'm going to be a little late getting it in. But it has an air of authenticity to it, right? Because it's written by me. It's directly what we're dealing with. It goes out every month. And it is something people have to, you got to touch it. You got to hold it. You got to see it. You got to open it. And it's coming every month. And so I think that has been one of the key drivers to building up our business, in addition to, along with hitting your current and former clients, because, that raving fan base that Ben Glass talks about, like I've had a guy who we got a great result at trial for, really good result. I mean, there was a crash outside his shop. He ran out there, got the people, brought him into his office, and called me from 10 minutes after the crash, before the police had even gotten there, saying, you need this guy. So that's the type of service we're trying to give, because if somebody has that much trust in you, that's very powerful. It's very powerful, and it has to be earned, right? You can't buy that with the Google AdWords or things like that. So, and so it's a lot of word of mouth, a lot of former clients, referral partners who don't practice injury work. We do have some injury work referrals when it gets closer to trial, but not a ton. And then the other thing we do, we do dabble a little bit in Google AdWords, but have had not the best with that, because what would happen is our budget would get blown in the first 6 days. And we couldn't really keep up with the big dogs. Yeah, the competitors are throwing a lot of money in that space. So we're always tinkering, as I'm sure everybody is, about how we're going to obtain clients, how we're going to keep them. But as the years have gone on, now that I'm in injury work 10 years in, the referrals in the last 2 years from former clients are really starting to turn over. You can see the uptick, and I'm interested. We're collecting all that data right now. Our marketing lady is, and I'm curious to see when we line up those numbers over the last 5 years, how it's going.
No, that's great. You got to collect the data, and building up those referral sources over time. It takes work. It takes time. It takes good work and good outcomes, and that's definitely going to build up. And Ben Glass is great. Ben Glass is actually just on the show recently with us, and we're actually, interestingly enough, we're digital marketing, and we do SEO and online stuff, and we do some Google ads, but they all have a place, right? And I have feelings about each thing. SEO is my number one, but that's content. So if you're writing, you're putting stuff out there. That's what SEO can kind of do. But we're about to do a printed newsletter ourselves for the managing partners.
Oh, nice
newsletter, a printed version. So not a lot of people are doing that anymore, right? So even though we're digital marketing, everything in marketing, whether it's TV, radio, it has a place and it can work for certain things at certain times. And you
got to try it on, right? Everybody's got to try something on and see if it fits. And if it doesn't fit, then you move to the next one. But I like that print stuff. I mean, because we also, like, if we get a verdict, we do a postcard, right? And you send out the postcard and it's a summary. And I think, you know this better than me, but it's digestible. It's not thousands of words. But it's enough to get people's attention so that they'll read it, and they can read it in 2-3 minutes. while they're having their coffee or whatever. And then you've kind of piqued their curiosity and kind of engaged them. And I think that's the sweet spot of trying to keep them engaged on it.
No, 100% right. And then it's just like if you have a website page, it's like a mile long.
Yeah.
But you put a video on top of it that just explains it in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to click on the video and just get it out of the way. So
yeah.
Well, cool. Moving on. Let's talk about. So you've been in this over 10 years. You said you're bringing on another attorney right now.
Yeah, we just onboarded him. Actually, he's out today. His wife's having a baby this morning. So it's one thing about our office. Everybody's got a lot of kids. So my other
I got two, not five.
You got two. Well, my other associate has 5 as well. So we've got a lot of kids rolling around, so we know how it works. But yeah, bringing on a new guy who came from a very large, advertising firm that just wasn't the right fit for him, and was looking more to get more trial experience and to get more hands-on with the clients and things like that he really wanted to explore. So we could offer that for him, and hopefully it works out. But yeah, that's where we're
Excellent. Well, so that's kind of my next question is growth plans. What does that look like for you, for everyone listening? Like how you plan for that? And then kind of what's the next couple of years look like for you? What are you trying to accomplish?
So in terms of growth, this is like, it's very timely, right? And I think everybody's in some, whether they're growing or dying. I mean, I think I heard a football coach say one time, if you're coasting, you're going downhill. So you kind of have to be moving forward. For us, we're looking now to get more into standardizing our office and our procedures internally to then stabilize that base, so then we can grow at a more healthy rate rather than just adding people. And I started to realize the last 2 or 3 hires, before that, it's 4 or 5 people. Everybody can kind of know what everybody's doing, and hey, what I asked that person to do, what they asked me to do. Once, as you probably know, once you get to 8, 9, 10, you're not, if you're keeping track of all that, you're not doing any work. So we had to get some processes in place that we're working on, so that we can grow. The other issue, and I think is we like to be in office, right? I like to have people in office. And it doesn't mean people can't work from home, but it's preferred to be in office because there's just an environmental impact, right? That people, I think, culturally it helps. And the problem is we grew quicker than we thought. We're maxed out on office space. So you have growth on office space, which everybody says, oh, the office market's going to cater. I'm waiting for that to happen. The square foot prices aren't happening to going down like they say. So we'll see. But we'll probably look to add a decent amount of more square footage when we move within the next year, and then maybe add a decent office manager to keep things on track. Because right now we use a lot of vendors, like most small businesses. We have a lot of vendors, bookkeeping vendors, marketing vendors, things like that. So somebody keep track of all that, manage that, and hopefully maybe add a lawyer or two. I'd like to keep us under 15 people total, and then kind of, hopefully have higher value cases, maybe fewer in our numbers, but higher value, and then develop some referral partners for, I don't want to say lower end cases, but lower price point cases that maybe we can still maintain a fee share on it, but maybe can take that time we'd normally put on that and put it into another file and maximize that recovery. So that's
a really good plan. I like that a lot.
Roundabout way. Yeah.
Yeah. You're small and nimble, but efficient and profitable.
Yes.
Focus on the best cases, that you can, with your skill that you have, and then you can still benefit from the ones that come through that maybe just aren't fit. And, all the time I got a call yesterday where I knew we weren't a fit immediately. And I have a referral partner, and I said, hey, we're not a fit. I can tell them quickly and let them know, and then say, but I got someone that can take care of you.
Yeah.
And they go, thank you so much. And they appreciate it. And then, maybe they come.
And that's later. And that, what you bring up, the great point that goes across all businesses that I see go across all businesses is a reluctance to say that, to take that step and say, we're not a good fit. And I made the mistake recently where an attorney referred me a case. It was a decent injury case, but the liability was very rough and it was tough. And I took the case because it was referred, and the other guy, the plaintiff, lived near me. I kind of knew him socially in a roundabout way. Took the case. We got the witness statement. It was not good. Our guy had some significant fault issues. And rather than us trying, quickly making that decision, kind of let it hang around and it didn't hang around too long. He still has plenty of time doing his thing, but he was upset with us for not getting him information sooner in a more efficient way. And candidly, I don't blame him. He's right. We should be better at that. And so it's a evolutionary process of really trying to get there each time, learning, hey, if we're not 100% behind this file, we should not be taking it. It's a recipe for disaster. And you're just,
I think it's really hard. It's a really hard thing to do.
Very, very, because you can see easy money there.
I made plenty of those mistakes in the past, and then now I'm kind of at a point where, okay, I get it. And I got a referral as to a law firm out in California. And I had a great conversation with them, but they needed a logo designed, and they wanted a website and management and all that stuff. And they wanted content, but they wanted like white papers because they're like a really niche, like B2B firm.
Okay.
And we don't only do SEO content. And so we don't write just to write expert articles and stuff like that. So I kind of sat on it for a little while and was like trying to figure out, okay, we can do a logo, and we had design people. And,
what vendors can I pull in to make this work? Like I got contacts.
And then I was like, wait a minute. And so I reached out to the gentleman yesterday and said, hey, we had a call, and it was I had an hour block call with him. It was a 5-minute call.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, logo is that's not what we do. Like, we have the capabilities, but it opens up a can of worms.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that. We can't.
Others are better at it. Yeah.
I said, in the copy, it's not the kind of copy that we write. We write copy that gets you organic traffic and found online, and that's it. And that's the only reason we exist. But if you need a website that looks amazing and it operates and we can manage it for you, 100%. He said, thank you so much for being candid and straightforward. Give me a proposal for the website and let's move forward.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like you want to please everybody, and I'm just that kind of person.
Yeah. And I think people are naturally like that. And you can see that even in our trial practice where, jurors are naturally like that. They don't want to say anything negative about people are brought up to be genuinely polite to people if you don't know them that well. And very few are going to be aggressively hostile right off the bat. So it's like that across all human nature. It's like, hey, the first default is try to be nice. They're going to try to be nice. And it can get us, into situations where we've got cases we don't want, or clients that our expectations don't match.
Yeah, no. So that's a hard thing to do. And it's gotten a lot easier over the years. And then firing clients too is something that I could never do. That happens more often now, but it's just, it's not a fit. It's not working out. It's hard to you just grind through it and be like, this is terrible. And now it's like, hey, I don't think it's the best fit. No problem. Let's figure out a different way to go. And
that's a hard
thing to do.
It is, but like they say, what my dad always used to say is, you make more money on the clients and cases you don't take, because you take these bad ones and they're just, time sucks. No one's happy at the end. You're wrapped into some crazy
break even at best.
Yeah, and you're just trying to get out of it. So
awesome. Well, good stuff. Good conversation on that. I appreciate that. Hey, real quick, I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. I want to do this earlier on, but if you're tuning in right now, watching, you can check Chris's firm out. It's finneyinjurylaw.com. If you're listening on audio, if you're in your car, it's Finney, it's FINNEY, injurylaw.com. Check him out. Check out his website, see what he's all about. Hopefully you can connect with him. Maybe there's a referral partner opportunity for any attorneys listening. So go check that out, and I'll bring that back up again here in just a bit. So appreciate with the growth goals you have. Let's do a couple lightning round questions.
Sure.
And give me some short answers, if you will, and we'll go through a couple. But what's maybe a struggle, biggest struggle from when you started to now? What was kind of a biggest struggle for you?
So it's the biggest struggle right now for me is, the debate between meetings and having meetings and not having meetings. And I know that may sound small, but it's how are we going to structure them? How are we going to run them internally? And we're actively working on it. And it's like, well, how does that make you money? Well, it saves a lot of time. If you can, I know people are on both sides of the fence. We're not having meetings. We're having meetings. You have meetings all the time. You have 5-minute meetings. You have hour meetings. I don't know, man. We're trying to figure out how it works. So that is the number one struggle for us is meetings. How are we going to do that?
You know what it sounds like to me is a process. You can put a process together for that.
Yep.
And we're in the middle of process like craziness right now. So we're doing the same thing. And when something goes off track, we're like, hey, wait a minute, there's no process for this.
Yeah.
Let's make a document. And then we start to follow it and say, hey, we're going over, like, or should we even have this meeting? Right.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
That's great. I didn't expect that answer. That's good. What would be, so we got, say if we have a young attorney listening right now, and they're like, oh, man, I'm going to start my own firm, or maybe they're just coming out of law school and they know they want to own their own firm. Maybe they're just stuck at another firm and they don't want to be there and they're going to start their own firm. What's kind of a tip you would give them to say, if you're going to do this, here's what I would do?
So whenever I talk to these people, I hear in their voice like a lot of trepidation. They want a lot of certainty. They want a lot of answers of if I do this, if I do that, what about this, what about that? And, that's kind of the paralysis by analysis. And so it may sound like a small tip, but it's a tip, is get your LLC set up and open your bank accounts. Once you do that, you can do anything. Like you can do anything. You get your business account set up and you get your IOLTA account set up with an LLC. That like resolves. So the groundwork is laid. You can get moving. You don't have to tell anybody that you did it. You can just have it.
But it's real.
It's real. And now checks or whatever can be made out to you into that business. And you can sign a lease in that business name. You can do whatever you need to do if you get that done. So it would be get your accounts opened and get your LLC. It sounds daunting. Find a buddy you went to law school with. Say, hey, man, I need some LLC papers. Can you do them for them? Boom. Takes them 10 minutes. And then, hey, do you have a bank recommendation? Call the bank. Here's what I need. That takes another 30 minutes and you're set.
No, I love that. So it's take the first step. Just
you got to move.
With that, you've had to pay a very little bit of money. The LLC is cheap.
Yes.
But you have something real in your hands. Yeah. That's a good tip. I like that. And I think that's the biggest thing with anything. People just don't start. You're not like podcasting. I guess so many people they're like, I've been wanting to podcast like for years. And then I give like a little course, actually, a talk on starting a podcast. And the number one thing, the biggest takeaway is just get started and record on your phone. Like don't buy a mic and all this other stuff. You just record something.
Yep.
You're going to sound like crap and you're not going to like your voice. And eventually that goes away and you're rolling.
You got to, you just got to get the momentum going. It's the same thing. And you'll hear, oh, I need a business plan for my practice. Not really. You just need to open it and and then go from there. Yeah.
Or like you need that awesome office and all these other things like that'll come. Like,
especially these days, you don't need that.
Yes, exactly. Excellent. Appreciate that. Favorite book? Is there any book, business related, law firm management, anything like that you've been like, you know what, that's a helpful book. This helped me get things going. Yeah,
there's a couple. I would read there's a couple. There's a business side, and then there's like the inspirational side. If it's inspirational, you can read On Becoming a Trial Lawyer by Rick Friedman, and kind of see what that is about, and really anything by Jerry Spence. And then on the business side, what we've been doing a lot of reading around here is Fireproof. Which is a book by John Nachhazel and Michael Morse. And they have Michael has a firm in Detroit. So we've been reading a lot about Fireproof, and that's an internal thing. So those two, I guess, would be the biggest I would recommend. And if you don't want to buy any books or anything, just watch some YouTube talks of Rick Friedman, and you'll get the gist. Nice. Okay. Well, appreciate it. So everyone listening, Rick Friedman, and then the book Fireproof. And who was the author of that? That's Michael Morse and John Nachhazel. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All right. That one's on Amazon. Yeah. That one's easy to get. On Becoming a Trial Lawyer might be a little bit more difficult to get, but if you're looking for a little inspiration on where you're headed, it's worth the read. And I did leave this out, but for tips an easy other way to get things rolling for a young attorney is LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a little bit more undersold. I know you guys are big on LinkedIn.
I think we connected on there, and that's how you're on the show.
And I think it, LinkedIn has a different flavor to it than Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. Not that those aren't helpful, but it does provide a different avenue, different audience that you can reach. And I kind of like it because, it's pretty straightforward. There's no hiding in that one. So
it's business. It's straightforward. You can be yourself. It's, and it's all mostly professionals.
Very professional.
And stuff, but no, it's been, LinkedIn's huge for us.
Yeah.
So awesome. Great tips. I appreciate that. Yeah. And one last question is there any associations or business groups or masterminds or anything like that you associate with that's been helpful? So
I would say for me, for my personal development and practice, it's probably been a group called Trial by Human. And that's run by Nick and Courtney Rowley. Now it's plaintiff only, so you have to qualify for it. But what they do, they have a great listserv, a couple others like Trial School. And then if you're every state has their own trial lawyer organization that is, you should just get on. And those will help with not only personal, but professional development and where you want to go. So, those two, and then your state TLA. Awesome. Yeah. Great tips. I know for me, I was actually just at an event last night. We had Inc. 5000 last year. So we're part of a group called Entrepreneurs Organization, which is nothing to do with attorneys. It's just entrepreneurs, obviously. But it gives you a place, another good group I just throw out there. Most areas have it. I'm sure St. Louis definitely has a chapter. But if you're just an entrepreneur and you want to hang out with other entrepreneurs and have private conversations about growing a business and the struggles of that, it's a great place to have. Because if you go home and your family's not in business owners or your friends aren't business owners, it gives you that outlet to be like, hey, I got this problem and I don't know what to do. So, so that'd be my tip is check out Entrepreneurs Organization, or we call it EO. And there's a lot of other groups like that out there, but just a great place to spend some time and get some information. So, well, cool. Chris, thanks so much for joining me today and sharing your tips. Excited about your growth, bringing on an attorney. I love your growth plans, and you kind of have a sweet spot you want to be in. And I think that's good to have that mapped out, at least if it's, maybe not every step along the way, which I think is almost impossible to do anyway. But you kind of have a vision there, which is great. Yeah. So, well, I appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate what you're doing and kind of in the format and approaching this. I think you guys have something really nice set up, and it makes it's great. So appreciate the avenue and guys like you putting this type of content out. Hey, absolutely. We're trying to produce good content that can help attorneys and help them grow their business. For me, I'm a business owner and just love business side of things. And I view law firms the same way. They're businesses, and they can be run well. They can be run. You have a good life. Your employees have a good life, and your families too. So absolutely. If we can help do anything to help that, that's what we're here for. So you can connect with Chris on his website. It's below, finneyinjurylaw.com. Chris, is there any other way? It sounds like LinkedIn would be a good place to reach out. So if you look for Chris Finney, you can probably find him in St. Louis and connect with him. Yep. Is there any other way that you prefer? They can call me. My cell phone's 314-707-5167, and email is chris@finneyinjurylaw.com. Excellent. Awesome. Well, appreciate that. So Chris, stay on with me for a second. We'll be backstage for a second after this recording. For everyone for this show, and Chris, thanks for saying good things about it. We have, I think, almost 250 published episodes. So if you go to thisisarray.com/podcast, you can sort by state, you can sort by personal injury or any other practice area. So you can find people like Chris, but maybe you're family law if you're listening. So you can find other leaders in family law practices in your state or other states and try to pick up some golden nuggets. Like, what have they done? How have they grown? If they niched in something, so there's lots of information you can pick up. And so our website is sortable by that. You can also go on any platform
podcast platform, YouTube, LinkedIn. We go live LinkedIn every Thursday. And then we have the newsletter that goes out. So you can sign up for that too at the bottom of this page. So it's thisisray.com/podcast. There's the Managing Partners newsletter where we'll feature like Chris here coming up. We'll probably pull out some tips, and his episode will be live in there. And then we'll share some other marketing things that we have knowledge in too. So, and if you need help with anything, have any questions about marketing, SEO, content for law firms, that's what we do. Please reach out to me. You can go to thisisray.com or LinkedIn. I'm always on there, Kevin Daisey, and you can find there and connect with me. So, Chris, thanks again.
Thank you.
Happy Friday. I know it's probably not Friday when people are watching this. It's Thursday probably, but or any other day of the week. But enjoy your day, and we'll see you soon.